guys, welcome back to another Weird Wednesday. I'm Ashers, and this is
Ivy.
So it actually has been a really weird week this week. I got to announce my new TV show that's coming out in July. In case you guys haven't seen, I am going to be your new horror hostess. So it'll be fun. I've got a lot to do. So it's kind of put other things on the back burner for the moment. Because I've got to write all this commentary and do the scripts and then do the filming. And again, we've got to get it done by July. So it's a lot, but I'm excited. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of the ideas that I have is going to be really cool. But anyway, it's going to be out on a specific, Roku channel, actually. It's for, a channel called Ultra Toxic TV. And they do like a bunch of like indie horror and stuff like that. So, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be really cool. But, you know, Ivy had some adventure this, or rather, not really adventure.
Yeah, lack thereof.
Yeah, some lack thereof adventure.
Yeah, it's just been one thing after the other for me.
Yeah, it has.
First it was my eyes, then they got better, then my legs were aching, now they're almost better, and then I lose my key, which is a keyless entry, keyless ignition, key fob, so... Of course, it's going to be expensive. Mm-hmm. And it was only $250, which I only say only $250 because it was going to be like $275 plus the service fee, and that was if everything like went smoothly and they didn't have to do like any bypasses on the system or anything. So yeah, but I ended up getting it for $250. It
was pretty good though. I mean, from like the moment that you called the guy to like when you got your key, like it was fast. Like I was really surprised. I just assumed it would take a couple days, but like they're on top of it. They're like, oh, you need your car keys? Right. Let me get that for you right now. But yeah, I mean that's just, you know, it's one of those things. It's one thing after another. And they're not even like huge things. It's just all a bunch of like ridiculous bullshit. Like
well, I mean, two things were concerning my health.
Yeah, that's true.
And then the other thing was expensive as fuck, which my health is expensive as fuck because we live in America.
Right. And then you're getting ready to just take your car and take it to the shop tomorrow and not have it again.
Right. But it was either that or have it towed to the dealership, then get the key, and then take it to the garage, which would have been ridiculous because I was going to sign up for AAA because as soon as you sign up, your membership is active from that point on.
Right.
So you can call right after and get a tow. But the base package was only for 5 miles. And so
the dealership's further than that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By 2 miles.
Are you serious?
Yes. So I would have had to upgrade to...
And just to get that other tow?
$100 to get the... I think... With
but
that
it's $100 for the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm still probably going to get it.
I might sign up for AAA.
It's good to have.
It's good to have.
Because they can give you a jump. They can
do all kinds of stuff.
Top your fuel off. They can get into your car.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know. I might look into that. I've thought about it for a while. But usually, like, you know somebody with AAA. And they've got, you know, the biggest package because it's still not very expensive. And they'll tow any car. And so... So you just call around. Oh, that's what you should have done. Call. You probably knew some. Well, it didn't matter. You didn't have to tow it anyway, but you probably knew somebody. You just don't know it.
Well, at the dealership, it would have been ridiculous
for that key. Yeah, it is for a key. I know it is. It is crazy, but so yeah, it's been pretty eventful around here. But we're still here for you guys for Wednesdays, so.
Right, spent $250 just to come make this episode.
Just to come record for you guys. I think, what's your Venmo? I'm just kidding.
She's a witch.
Well, there you go, guys. If you want to leave a tip, and you should. That's where it should go. But anyway, so this week we thought, you know, we would talk about, let's not talk about this week. Next week is going to be our big episode. Next week is our episode 10 special, where we're going to do a little Q&A for you guys. You know, absolutely submit your questions wherever it is you either listen to the podcast or If you follow either of us on social media, you can ask there. And, we'll answer them as best as we can. But I'm excited for it. I think it's going to be fun. Because we really haven't gotten a chance to, talk to you guys and tell us why we are the way we are. So, but until then, we have this one for you. So this week we thought we would talk about the weird world of sleep. Sleep is a very interesting, it's so strange that we have this set period of time where we just lay there.
Yeah.
And
it's
do
like
nothing.
a mini death.
And yeah, right, it is. And you have to do it. You can't, even if you try to stay awake, your body will shut down and you will fall asleep.
Right.
And you have no option.
You have to put the avatar on its shelf.
Right. It's just, it has to do
the
it.
charging dock.
So, why do we sleep? Why do we, because we spend a good chunk of our life sleeping. That was one thing I got, I invested, not recently, but I guess in recent years, I invested in a bed because you have to have a good bed. You spend most of your time asleep in your bed. You had better have the good one.
My grandma always said that the two things that you should always invest in are good shoes and a good bed.
I absolutely, very wise.
Because,
Absolutely
if
agree
you're
with her.
like me and happen to lose your car key and you gotta walk everywhere.
You gotta walk everywhere.
Or go take the bus, you're gonna have some comfy shoes.
You better have them shoes.
And then
right.
you're gonna come home and have a comfy bed to
and
lay
get in
in.
your bed. Exactly. Yeah. You have to, that's number one here. You have to have a good bed. But yeah, we spend most of our time asleep and, why do we do that? Why are we made that way?
Aside from the obvious reasons, it's
we're
weird.
tired. We're not
Right.
we're not the only ones that do it. Animals do it.
Right, cats especially.
Yeah.
Them motherfuckers sleep 75%
But
of their
when
life.
cats are asleep, they're not really asleep.
They're
It's
still
weird.
high alert.
They have the fastest wake up time of any animal. They are instantly. Speak of the devil. Here comes a cat. One of them is asleep right now.
The obnoxious one.
Yeah. Yep. Nope, there he is. Anyway. So, but they don't really sleep. They, if you wake them up in the middle of their sleep, they are instantly wide awake. And, but cats are kind of a weird thing anyway. People think that they hold the key to a different dimension or, they're special. They're different than we are. So, but I don't know. It is a strange thing. And then let's talk about falling asleep. So some people have this thing that happens to them when they're trying to fall asleep. And you've probably heard of it. It's called sleep paralysis. Have you ever experienced sleep paralysis before?
I didn't realize that was when you, start to fall asleep. I thought that was when you woke up and you were, trapped
Awake.
and couldn't move.
Well, so some people might describe it that way because they kind of fall asleep, but then they're not. Because what it is
It's
you're trapped,
in the
you can't
beginning
move.
stages of sleep.
Yeah,
right?
you can hallucinate. So you can kind of, how sometimes when you're falling asleep at night and you kind of catch yourself and you wake up a little bit and get back.
Right.
They do that, but then when they catch themselves, they're
Stuck.
they have a problem. Yeah. And and that's just absolutely horrifying. A lot of people say that they have a demon sitting on their chest, they can see it. A lot of people think that it's aliens. Some alien abduction stories are could actually be sleep paralysis, and people that have that because it seems so real, but it's not.
Or is it?
It could be. It could be demons, and it could be aliens.
Have you ever experienced sleep
No,
paralysis?
I have not. I told you,
I don't
I'm
want
scared
to
of fucking aliens. I don't think I'd ever recover from that.
Probably not.
I probably would fucking wake up, and it would have to be. If it was demons, I'd just be like, okay, demons, and just go back to sleep. But
Hey,
if it's fucking
friend.
aliens, no. So the thing about sleep paralysis, though, is that you are more likely to have a sleep paralysis episode after you have learned about sleep paralysis. So, good luck sleeping tonight, guys. Sorry. But that's true, though. It's true. You are more likely for it to happen once you've learned about it. And so it's a weird thing. But that sucks. And then then you have times where and this kind of happens that you're trying to fall asleep and then you'll just kind of jolt awake and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
You know,
that's actually like reflex in your mind because your body gets so relaxed that it has to basically
make sure you're not
send
dead.
a message to that part of your body to make sure it's still functioning.
Yeah. And
so it's like, that's like how you know, like you were super fucking comfortable, and then your brain's like, nah.
And you're just like,
Fall off the bed and then wide awake.
Right, great. You know, but that's not really, like, something like that's not really scary because we all do that, and so, but we're also used to that happening. Like, when it does happen, we're like, oh, it was just that thing that happens.
Yeah. Or it's like when you feel like you're falling. Now that is scary.
Yeah.
That will get your heart pumping.
It is scary. It is scary.
I mean, it's not like, oh my God, I'm never going to recover. But it's like, ooh.
Yeah,
you almost got me, girl.
Like, yeah. Yeah, it is. It is really scary. You know, of course, and then you fall asleep. I'm not really a dreamer. I don't have a bunch of dreams.
I don't either.
I mean, you do. You know, you do. You just don't remember them. You know, I do, and I don't remember them.
I mean, when I'm asleep, sometimes I see colors. Like, I don't see...
You don't have, like, a dream? But
I don't have dreams.
Well, that's, like, what you're dreaming about, then. I do have color.
Dreams, but, like, it's literally just, like, colors. And it's weird. I have this, like, light bulb that can change colors.
Okay.
And, like, I like to sleep with it with a red light.
Okay.
And, like, it just really helps me sleep a lot better. But sometimes I wonder if it, like, makes me, like, see the colors differently.
That's interesting. I guess it could, yeah. Yeah, I don't really... I mean, if I do dream, usually, like, I remember them. Like, because I remember them so rarely that, you know, it's... just one of those things. But yeah, usually if I do, and so I've got select dreams that I vividly remember.
Yeah.
I remember, I think I remember like one of my first dreams, and because I've just always had this memory, and I feel like when I was a kid and I had it, and then I woke up and I was like confused about like what just happened because it was just so confusing. And with that dream, I woke up, but I was still dreaming. And then I woke up. Maybe that's why I was so confused, because it was like a double dream. But I remember I was probably between the ages of like 3 and 5. And my dream was I was out back at our house, and we had like a little like sandbox in the backyard. And I was in the sandbox, and my mom came to the door and called my name. And then I woke up to my other dream. My other dream, I was... asleep. I woke up on the couch, and it was during the day, and I could like hear my mom doing something, and I got up and I walked to the bathroom, and she was in there getting ready, but then I woke up for real. It was weird. It was weird. And then another one I can remember very young. You know, I don't know if it was my first nightmare or what, but I was like in a cave, and there was a monster, and it was like he was kind of slimy. He was like brown, orangish, slimy. And he was like running around me. Like I'm in the center, and I could see myself like as an out-of-body experience. I could like see myself in a chair in the center, and he's running around me in a circle, and he's got a rope, and he's like tying me up with a rope and like laughing. And I'm just like, ah.
That's creepy.
Yeah. It was a weird dream. But I remember those, you know, and then I am sure I do have some. I've been dreaming a lot more, and a lot of people have since
this whole
coronavirus thing. Yeah, it has caused everybody to start having very vivid dreams, and I definitely have remembered them. I don't think I've had any that are like super memorable, but I definitely remember more when I wake up. And
yeah.
Like, and now I think I kind of remember why I don't remember my dreams, because man, my dreams suck. It's horrible. I have bad dreams. I just wake up in a bad mood. I know, like, if I dream about, like, somebody doing something wrong, I'll, like, wake up and I'll be mad at them, and it's not their fault, but...
Right.
Then I'm mad the whole day. Like, how dare you?
What did I even do?
You know what you did. You know, I don't know. I just...
Well, there's, like, how... Like, it depends on your concept of time, but...
Okay.
There's, like, this whole thing of like time not being linear, which is what I believe. I don't believe that it's just straight line. But it's more of like a spectrum, which a lot of people say life is a spectrum because there are so many different spectrums of things. Like if you say a mother is a spectrum of things.
Okay, yeah.
Anything you can really put on a spectrum. Yeah. So there's people that like have that same viewpoint of time being linear, that we are only in this moment because this is the moment that we choose to be in our time.
Yeah.
So when we are asleep, that's basically us deciding to be in another moment. So we are basically conscious in another point in time. So then when we're conscious in this point in time, we're asleep in another point in time.
So
it's kind of like all over the place.
What you're saying is that monster dream that I had was probably happening to one of my other selves somewhere.
Like in a parallel universe.
That child dying in that cave. That makes sense, though. I can see that. I can see that. Which is why sometimes you'll dream about people that you never met. I had a boyfriend, I've had probably hundreds, but I had one specifically that I had a dream about before I met him. And, because I remember, because he had like just the way he looked, it was very distinct. But he, and so I had a dream about him, and then like a week later I met him. I was like a teenager. I was like, wow. I think he's a firefighter now. I think he grew up to be a firefighter. Maybe I should call him.
Maybe, girl. My house is on fire.
Right. I need you.
Save me, Daddy.
But anyway, so I've had that happen. I'm a really weird sleeper anyway. Like, for one, like, when I sleep, I don't stay in the same position.
Me
like,
either.
I'm horrible. Like, I'm a horrible co-sleeper. Like, you don't... Like, you might want to sleep with me, but, like, you don't want to sleep with me because it's not comfortable for you. Because I just, like, before I even fall asleep, I move positions, like, 20 times.
Yeah.
And then I'm just that way all night long. I'm that way. And then...
Well, see, like, with me, I'm that way, but if I have somebody else, like, in my bed, I'm not that way. It's weird.
No,
I actually get... like better sleep when I sleep with somebody, but at the same time I don't actually sleep as much. It's weird. Like I wake up a lot through the night, but then I'm just like so relaxed that I'm still getting that rest.
You wake up a lot through the night when someone's still there?
Yeah.
I wake up a lot through the night regularly, but when people are here, I don't. Like when I'm sleeping with somebody in bed, I don't wake up as much. I don't know why. But I know I'm still all over the place. I sleepwalk. I'm a really, really bad sleepwalker. And I will have like full conversations with people and I don't remember. I've like texted people and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. It's all nonsense and they're like, what? But I don't, I have no recollection of it at all. And I have a really hard time like getting up to alarm clocks. So
I hate it.
I have to like train. Well, if I have to be up at a certain time every day, then I have to train myself to get up at that time every day because I won't get up to the clock.
Have you tried making yourself wake up without an alarm clock?
Well, that's pretty much what I do. I mean, I set an alarm clock, just to make sure, but my sleep schedule will get to the point that I will be naturally waking up before the alarm goes off anyway. So, I mean, I guess I already do. I mean, but I still set it, like I said, just in case.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I won't. Like, I don't know. And I guess I'll wake up enough to turn it off, but I don't remember, so it's like, that's not my fault.
Yeah, snooze 20 times.
Right. You go to snooze, you accidentally turn it off, and you're like, well.
But that's why you also set like 15 alarms.
Yeah,
and then you snooze them all.
See, that's why I'm horrible to sleep with because I'm like kicking your ass all night long, stealing all the blanket, and then I don't want you to touch me because I'm trying to sleep, and then I set like 500 alarm clocks in the morning that I won't wake up to. So, I don't know. It's just that thing. My sister, she said that. So my sister's deaf. I guess probably a lot of people don't know that, but my younger sister's deaf, and she lived with me for a while. Well, aside from growing up, as adults, we lived together for a while. And she said I would like wake up and like I would like sign to her. I would like use sign like in my sleep, and it didn't make any sense, but. Jessica, my sister, we have talked about like dreams and stuff before, and I've asked, can you hear in your dreams? And and she says yes, she can. But Jessica kind of has an advantage because she can hear a little bit. My sister, she was a hearing aid. She's more like she can. It's hard for her to hear you, but like she can hear you, and hers is more like comprehension. She doesn't really know what you're saying. So she still relies on sign language heavily to communicate. But yeah, so she says she can hear. And so I asked her, because she's got, she's submerged in the deaf culture. I said, do deaf people that can't hear at all, because some people are born with absolutely zero hearing. I'm like, do they hear in their dreams? And she said, yes, and blind people claim that they can see in their dreams.
I wonder if, like, say somebody is born deaf.
Yeah.
And then they hear in their dreams.
What does that sound
what
like?
It sounds like.
It's like someone that's born blind and they see in their dreams. And what do they see?
Right.
What are they seeing? What are they
like, and how do they know what they're seeing?
Well, because I wonder if it's like internal monologue. Because they say, most everybody has an internal monologue. Well,
can they hear that internal monologue?
That's what I wonder.
Because, like, I mean, I don't actually hear it, yeah. But I hear it.
I mean, you hear it because you know, like, what you sound like, and so you just, like, use your voice to, like,
so
make
do
that
they
you.
have
Yeah.
that? Like, it's...
I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, I would say that we should probably ask the deaf people, but this is a podcast, and I don't think deaf people listen to us.
Right. Unfortunately.
I do put, because we post it on YouTube, I do put the closed captioning on the YouTube videos. Now, granted, they have to sit there and read it, but just in case they want to.
Right.
Because I'll tell you content creators, you really leave the deaf people out. And, people like Jessica, she really misses out on a lot because people don't think of people like her, to include that stuff. And it's not... I mean, I can understand why you don't, if you're not regularly affected or have a deaf person in your life, it's not something you think about. But they do, deaf people exist too, guys. Remember the fucking, when our local Taco Bell was in trouble with that one guy because he was trying to order through the drive-thru and they wouldn't take his order because he pulled up to the window.
Yeah.
And that's one of Jessica's
That
friends.
happens all the time.
That happens all the time. There's videos everywhere.
But then there's also, I think it was Starbucks that introduced it. But it's like literally like a video screen and somebody signs on the screen.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, that's obviously not going to be in a place like Kettering, Ohio.
Yeah, but it should start happening.
Yeah,
everywhere.
it should be a standard.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it should. It really should. It really should. And then it gives people jobs. Yeah, it is a weird thing. When you talk about what the blind see when they're asleep or what the deaf hear when they're asleep. Because we don't know. We don't have that. We have absolutely no idea at all what it is like to not just not hear and not just not see, but grow up not hearing or grow up not seeing anything.
Right.
And so, but obviously they're going to have like something, and then they can't really, I wonder if the blind people can describe it. I'd like to ask, I'd like to get like a sketch artist and like sit down and have them describe, because it would probably be really cool. It would probably be really interesting. Because they can feel stuff.
It might have already been done.
It might have been.
Wonder.
You might be right. You might be right about that. I guess, in all fairness, I didn't research it enough to probably know. But yeah, that is really interesting. Yeah, sleeping is just such a strange thing. I watched this documentary one time, and it had these people like stay up for like 3 days straight, and then had them go to bed and like measured if they caught up on the sleep that they missed or not. And, what they have found is that, no, you don't. You just don't catch up on it. You'll be affected because your, circadian rhythm will just be confused. But, yeah, you're not going to catch up on it. It's a really weird thing. I've also seen studies where like, you think you're like, oh, get a good night's sleep. You just need a good night's sleep. What do you how much sleep do you think you need in a night? I mean, what have you always been told that you need in a night?
I've always been told 8, but then there's also
like
studies that say 5 to 6.
5 to 6,
and
right.
honestly, working in a restaurant, I always did better on nights that I slept 5 to 6 hours.
Did you?
But only if it was a restful sleep. If it wasn't a restful sleep, then that wouldn't be the case.
Uninterrupted. I guess maybe that's the issue. Because I don't, like, if I get like 5 or 6 hours of sleep, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to do good the next day. I know that I need a good, mine's like usually 7 to 9, just depending on the night, depending on how well I sleep and how many times I wake up that night. Because I guess that probably is the issue. I wake up like every hour or two.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Same. All the time. And, I can't just immediately go back to sleep. I'm like, oh, great, now I'm awake,
Right, you go get something to drink and then getting something to drink. Like,
go pee or whatever, whatever it is you do. I'll pet the cats for a minute because they'll be right there. It's probably them that wakes me up.
Could be.
They're like, it's cuddle time. Yeah. Yeah. They do. Spooky will get my face and pat on me. They're like, hey. Boo's just always there.
Yeah.
So probably. But what I've heard is that, like, your sleep schedule is extremely personal to you, and that's what I believe. So it's like, you shouldn't, like, guilt yourself into, like, having to sleep, like, 8 or 9. Like, if you're not getting, like, 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night, you shouldn't feel like, oh, I should be tired, if you're not.
Right.
If you're going on 5 to 6, then that's okay. If you sleep for 10 or 11 hours a night, it's 12 hours for a night. That's on you. That's if that's what you're comfortable doing. If you wake up every hour and have to hang out for a bit, that's on you. You just got to make sure you're able to, like, fit it into your day, and however it works. But I do think that sleep is a very personal thing, and I think that's weird. Also, I wonder what all plays a factor in that, like.
Well, that book I always mention called Seth Speaks.
Oh yeah, let's hear another excerpt from Seth Speaks.
He's talked about sleep and stuff before, and I think I've made mention of it on here, but he states that basically we are better off sleeping in smaller increments.
Okay, and I've heard that.
Because when we are asleep, our conscious leaves our body.
Okay, right. I like what you're saying.
So it's kind of like autopilot. Okay. So, like, that's why sometimes, like, when you sleepwalk, that's a form of autopilot. Yeah. Your consciousness is somewhere else.
Right.
But your body has awoken.
it's ready to go.
Or awakened. And you are on autopilot. So you're doing things, but not really conscious of what you're doing, but you can or cannot remember that. So it just because your consciousness isn't there doesn't mean you won't remember it. But sometimes you don't remember it. But I actually kind of, like, experimented with it a little bit, and I'm lucky enough that working in a restaurant, I oftentimes could get a break in between my shifts.
Yeah. You did, yeah. You get, like, the big breaks between them.
Right. Yeah. So, now, not all the time. Sometimes it'll only be, like, 2 hours. But I experimented with it for a little while, and it actually made a difference when I would sleep less and then go to work, come home, take a nap, go back to work on days I worked a double. And then I was a lot more alert. I felt more energized. But it made a big difference on the days I didn't work a double at work. So I would, sleep a little bit, and I'd go to work, and then I'd come home, I'd take a nap, and then I'd want to get up and, like, clean the house and, like, cook dinner and things like that. But on my days off, it was a little weird because, like, you can only clean so much. You can only do so much. So it actually challenged me to push myself in ways that I necessarily wouldn't have otherwise. So when I was actually learning tarot, that's kind of what I did, is I would kind of sleep, and then I'd wake up, clean, do some tarot, take a nap, wake up.
But you kind of sleep like that now. I mean, you have been lately.
Yeah.
It seems. I don't know if you were doing that when you were working.
Yeah. It's like last night I was up until like 5 in the morning, and then I woke up at 9:30. Right. So.
But I'll text you and I'll be like, come over, and 10 hours later, like 5 hours later, you'll be like, oh, sorry, I was asleep.
Yeah, that's what I do, and that's not just quarantine.
Yeah.
But it actually makes a big difference.
Yeah. So that's your sleep schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, it works for you.
You got to try it. See if it works for you.
I don't know if I can with a child.
She needs to get on the same schedule.
Yeah, right. I mean, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, but I don't think, and that's surprising. Like, I really don't take naps. I used to take a nap pretty much every day, so I love to take a nap, but like ever since quarantine, I have not taken a nap, which is weird because I don't have any other, like, I don't have to be anywhere. I don't have to, I could be taking naps, but
well, that's probably why you don't feel the need to take a nap, is because there's nothing like
restful
occupying
sleep. Yeah,
your time.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I've been surprised. Really, I've worked more during quarantine than I have any other time in my life. So, even though I've been at home, it's
But it's a different kind of work.
It is.
It's more for yourself than it is for a big corporation, or even just.
Like, I still feel the pressures of, like, I'm busy. Like, I know I'm busy, but even though I'm not busy, it's not stressful, which is different. That's not something that I ever had before. So I don't know. It's okay. Like I said, it is busy. I am busy, but I'm not stressed about it. Whereas like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have to, do this today, and then I have to just go to bed because I got to be at work tomorrow. And like, I don't have that. So that's nice. But we'll see how long that lasts. We'll see where that goes. But it is definitely a lot different. And then I don't know, but my sleep schedule is fucked up. I've been staying up like all night long. My kid's sleep schedule's fucked up. But she doesn't have like school or anything right now, so it's like, it's not, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Hell, she sleeps late. She goes to bed later than I do and then sleeps later than I do. It's pretty bad.
Well, they say like
kids need more sleep anyway.
Sleep actually can say a lot about a person as to like whether they're like a night owl or a day walker.
She says she's a night bird.
She's a night bird. That's cute.
That's what she says. I tell her, my girl, go to bed. And she's like, Mama, I'm a night bird. She's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it's just, sleep is so personal, and people will like shame you for how you sleep, and that's just absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Right, like, why do you even give a fuck
right.
how I sleep?
It is absolutely none of your business. It has nothing to do with you or your life or anything.
People have this thing where they want to be in everybody else's business but their own.
Yeah.
Which is why the government is allowed to control our bodies.
Yeah, true. That's very true. That's very true.
That's a whole other.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. Some people are just like that. It's weird, but not even just like I get a lot from like my mom. But okay, that's a parent. But like you'll get it from like other people will like judge you. They're like, "Oh, you sleep all day," and it's like, so.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you sleep all night. That's how you should respond to them.
Well, there's light workers, shadow workers.
Yeah.
Energy workers that do both, whatever. Some of them do a lot of work in their dream space. And I'm not one of those people. Okay. I haven't experienced anything like that, but you never know. If I do experience it, it might be my thing. But so like their sleep schedule is very based on that, but also like their day-to-day life.
Whatever their lives are like, yeah.
But it's like, right. I believe it's the Native American, like, commandments. I'm not sure if that's actually the word, but it might be. But it was like, you don't rise before the sun.
Okay.
So it could even be like a cultural thing,
So they would never see the sunrise?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they did, but like, it's like one of the things that
That'd be so nice. You'd like get up and you're like, oh, the sun hasn't come out yet. I'm going back to
bed. Right. Or, using the sun as an alarm clock. Yeah. Like when there wasn't alarm clocks.
Yeah, that's true.
But,
Well, that's true. How do they do it? They had to, get up somehow. Why do we decide to sleep at night? Because we're just not very good at night? Like we're not we're not productive because we're not good hunters, or...
I don't really know.
How did we decide as a human race that nighttime would be the time that we slept?
Well,
the whole world, maybe not the whole world, but definitely in America at least, we're on first shift. I mean,
well, a lot of empaths are more active during the night.
Yeah.
Because that's when the world is most quiet.
Yeah.
You don't have the hustle and bustle of everybody trying to get to the grocery store, or
I get most of my work done at night. Like when
it's a good time frame to be creative and tap into that creative side.
Well, it's like I've had all day to kind of think about what I'm going to do and stuff like that, and so it helps to then at night be able to put all those things that I thought of during the day into practice, or put it on paper, whatever it is I need to do. So. I can see that. It benefits me. I've always been a night person. It's hard. It's hard having a kid because, school starts at 8 every day. Well,
right. Drop her ass off and then go right back to bed.
But I can't wake up to alarms.
Isn't true.
So I can't stay out. So I have to, and I can get on a first. I was on a first shift schedule for a very long time. That's what I was used to. But here recently, I've gone back to my roots, and I'm now able to do that. I don't have long until she's able to get herself up and going, so I just gotta deal with it. But that's just one of those things you deal with your life. I mean, it's not impossible to switch your sleep schedule, but I think we all kind of have a time where we naturally feel more comfortable having our sleep schedule be where it is. Like I said, I feel more comfortable being a night bird.
Same.
Than I do being a morning glory. So I don't know. But yeah, sleep is a weird thing. I believe the world record holder for there was this guy that stayed up the longest. He stayed up for 9 days and without sleep, and then he went to sleep. Because a lot of people seem to think that like if you don't go to sleep, like you will die. But that's not really the case, because you'll just fall asleep before that happens. Just like if you try to hold your breath to like suffocate yourself, you're going to pass out, and then you're going to start breathing again because your body's not going to let that happen. Your body is anatomy is just amazing. Your bodies are smart as fuck. Yeah. They will do whatever it is they need to do. They're really not as fragile. They can be, but they're really not as fragile as you think they are. They're really smart. And so, you wouldn't die from lack of sleep. Like, it just wouldn't be something that your body would let you do. It would just take over. And I've had days where I used to stay up. I don't know how I did it. For a long time when I was younger, back when I was cool and I did a lot of drugs and stuff, I used to, like, sleep for, like, 2 hours and stay up for, like, 3 or 4 days, and then maybe get another hour here, 45 minutes there, stay up for another day or so. I don't know how I did it. I have no idea. I would never be able to do that now.
Have you ever hallucinated from...
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know, because I did so much drugs that it could have been...
Is it the drugs, or is it the lack of sleep?
Yeah, it could have been either. So, I think so. I feel like I've had times... Because, I've, in, like, recent years, back when I worked at the movie theater, we would have days where, like, we'd call it cloping. So, I'd close, and I wouldn't get home until, like, 4 in the morning. And then I'd have to open the next day, and I'd have to be there at 8:30 in the morning. So I'd have to wake up at like 6 for like 3 days in a row. And then on top of that, I would work some days. Like I had weeks where I would have like a 13-day stretch, working fucking 60, 70 hours a week. And I'd be like driving around, like I'd be like on the drive home or whatever. And I just like, I don't know, I'd start falling asleep, or I just couldn't really concentrate. Maybe I saw things that didn't happen, like shadows out of the corners of my eye and stuff that didn't really, just so sleep deprived. So, I mean, I've been there, but as far as like vivid hallucinations go, I couldn't really tell you, because like I said, back then I did so many drugs that, I mean, I'm not sure what was real then and what wasn't. So, who knows? Probably, but I've heard that people get that way. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah.
Have you? What'd you see?
Just kind of like what you said, just like
shadows and
stuff out of the corner of your eyes. It wasn't like anything that was like a giant ape or anything like that. It was just like...
And which usually don't with hallucinations, it's more of like eye tricks. It's not what people think it is. Maybe we'll do a whole episode on drugs one day.
Now, girl, some stuff, like, have you ever robo-tripped?
Yeah.
That's some creepy shit. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. You are going to see bugs crawl on the wall.
Did you see the aliens?
The aliens? Yeah.
We'll have to do I think we should do a whole episode on drugs one of these days.
We'll have to robo-trip and record.
Maybe, yeah, so we'll robo-trip and record. I don't know if my psyche can handle that shit nowadays.
I don't think my liver could handle that.
Right. Yeah, I know.
I think it's your liver. I don't know. One of them organs. My organs aren't what they used to be.
There are select drugs that I would do again, and I would kind of like to do again, but not many. Like I've never done shrooms. I would like to do shrooms. Whenever I trip,
I
it was on acid.
Maybe we should do shrooms together.
I really want to do shrooms. I've heard really good things about it. I'm a big believer in doing hallucinogens, and microdosing is great. People do that a lot with the shrooms, and it's been doing good things. So. Anyway, we'll talk about drugs another day.
Right.
Episode 11, drugs. There it is. I'll just tell you all our drug stories. But yeah, so yeah, you can get so sleep deprived that you don't function correctly. And it is a strange, again, why? Well,
you can also sleep too much and get the same as if you didn't sleep enough.
I've had, you still feel really groggy and weird. I had that Sunday. I didn't sleep enough. I partied on Saturday night, and I woke up Sunday, and I didn't get enough sleep. And then just the whole rest of the day, I was just like, ugh. You just kind of have those days, and you're like, ugh. And I think that sleep, because I ended up waking up like in the middle of the night, and I I do, and it didn't help, so then I think that because I didn't get rest, but I've had like days where because some people are like, well, you were partying. Well, not real. I mean, yes, but I've had sometimes where I'll drink or whatever, and then I'll go to bed, and then I get the best night of sleep I've ever had, and I wake up the next day, I'm like, wow, I feel great.
Whenever I drink and party, I always wake up early, 5, 6 o'clock. Always between those two time frames.
Usually, yeah.
And I feel good. Yeah. I've never had a hangover.
I feel great. I mean, I can't say I never have. Obviously, usually I wake up early, but then I don't get sick or anything, but I just feel like ugh.
Right. Maybe we've had hangovers, but we just aren't pussies like some people.
I mean, I've had them before. Maybe not. Maybe that's just straight up alcohol poisoning, but
see, bitch, the one night I had alcohol poisoning, I woke up at 5:30 and I felt fine.
Oh my gosh, I just can't even.
And that was after fucking puking up black shit and being thrown into a closet.
Why were you thrown in the closet?
Because I was in the bathroom laying on the floor, and
oh, they didn't know what to do with you.
Yeah, and then apparently when the dude threw me in the closet, it broke the girl's sewing machine, and she tried to make me pay for it. I'm like, it's not my fault I got thrown into a closet.
I was in the bathroom.
Right.
Wow. Is that anybody I know?
I've mentioned her before, but I think you said you don't know her.
Okay.
But you know of her.
Oh, okay.
I think it's one of those cases.
Wow, that's crazy. I've only had alcohol poisoning a select number of times. I will throw up very easily when I drink, so I gotta be careful. I can't mix my drinks. I can't drink whiskey. I cannot have whiskey.
I prefer whiskey.
A lot of people like it, and I'm jealous because it seems kind of fancy. But I can't. It does. I cannot.
Established.
I can't get beer drunk because it makes me feel sick.
I don't like beer.
It makes me gassy and feel sick. I just feel full. Vodka's okay, but then if I drink too much of it, it makes me feel sick. I just usually stick to my rum. I don't know. That's, I like my rum. I mean, I'll have a beer. I'll like baby a beer for the night or whatever. But like if I'm trying to get drunk, that's not my go-to. I like my wines. Wine's a different drunk though. It's, it's a different feeling. Where are we talking? We're talking about sleep.
Hey, we're here to discuss everything.
Everything that's weird.
So, I mean, if it goes off the rails,
my drinking problem is weird.
I mean, that one time I got that fucking 2018 Camaro rental. Bitch, I went out one night and I got so fucked up, and then I'm like, fuck, I don't have my car. I've got this expensive fucking rental. And how I got it was I reserved a car.
Okay.
And they had given it away, and they didn't have any regular cars. So they're like, well, we have this 2018 Camaro. We'll upgrade you for free. And at first I was like, ooh, I don't know. That's a really nice car.
Right.
And if I fuck that
up. Yeah.
But I ended up taking it. And, nothing happened. Yeah. But I ended up like... I was driving home and I got sick. And like, I feel the puke coming up and I couldn't pull over. There wasn't like any side roads. And it was just the road without an emergency lane or anything because it's a city street. And so it just like comes up and I try to catch it, but it just like and it sprayed everywhere. I was like, oh my god.
What did you do? Did you clean it?
Well, I finally got like to a point where I could pull over, and I was holding vomit in my mouth. And then I opened the door, spit it out, and then I cleaned it the next day. But yeah, it was.
Wish you guys could see my face of horror. That's just pure terror.
I probably shouldn't put that on.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Leave it in.
Right. Leave it in there.
So, okay. So, I think we're getting off topic a little bit, but that's okay.
Now, okay, let's talk about sleeping while you're drunk or on drugs. Has that affected your dreams?
I feel like
Do you remember?
No, I feel like I remember even less.
Yeah,
same. When I'm like drinking or whatever, or if I've been on drugs, like because I don't know, I'm so eager to wake up again and do it again.
But then it's like
I don't know,
like you remember like certain things that happened when you were fucked up, but it was like, was that a dream or did that really happen? Usually,
I'm still pretty good about knowing. Because, like, if I get that fucked up, I'll end up coming out of it. Like, when I drink, I have it, like, what I do when I drink is I will drink a lot really quickly.
Same.
And I'll get really fucked up, and then I stop drinking, and I'll sober up, like, throughout the night or whatever. And, so, usually by the time I go to bed, I'm pretty much sober. So... Yeah, so for the most part, I can distinguish at that point between, like, the timeline that I got fucked up and between... But that's me nowadays, That's not me, 10 years ago when I was cool. I really shouldn't condone that. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't drink.
Drugs don't make you cool.
They don't. They don't make you cool. They make you
a
zero.
Cool.
Yeah. Listen, just remember, jail is no place for a party, okay? So... Don't go down that road. But anyway, so yeah, anymore, no, not really. It doesn't help me retain anything. But yeah, I don't know. It's, everybody, and then some people just dream all the time. And then of course there's like, dream interpretation, which I can never really get the hang of because it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like... I don't really think it's so much.
Well, you have to learn signs, symbols.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it really is. Because, like, something might seem like it could mean something, and it actually means something else.
Because it's not so much like what's happening in your dream. It's like what you see in the dream.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not really... what the dream is about. It's a weird thing. Like I said, I don't know enough about it to even judge.
Yeah, I've got a book on it, but it's just like definitions. It doesn't really like talk about how to interpret a dream. It might. I don't know. I can't remember. I haven't looked at it in a while because I don't really dream.
Yeah.
So I got the book thinking like, oh, I don't really dream. So when I dream, it might mean something.
Yeah, true.
But I actually keep that book in a Ziploc baggie on the front porch. So that way, when I wake up, I can go downstairs, smoke a cigarette, and look up my definitions.
Do you?
Yeah.
When you dream, yeah.
Yeah.
When
If I remember to even do it.
Yeah, that's true. I'll wake up sometimes and I'll be like, oh, I had a dream and I remember it. And then like 10 minutes is gone. Like it's, and I'm just like, what was that? I don't remember.
Like, wait, what?
Or it's like, I have a problem like not interpreting, but like even like explaining my own dreams. Like I will remember them in my head, but I couldn't tell you what it's about. I couldn't explain it because it's just so bizarre. And, so it just depends. And I guess that's why maybe that when I do dream, they are so vivid because they're just so out there. And, so real. But maybe they feel so real and so out there because I don't remember them most of the time. So, I mean, maybe that's what dreaming's like for everybody every night. I don't know. I can't get in other people's head and see what dreaming's like, so. But I don't know. Sleep is it's still a very weird thing. It is something that we are trying to understand more every day. There's multiple sleep disorders that people can have. Night terrors is fucking horrifying. I'm sure. I don't think they remember the night terrors when they happen, but other people do. in the house. So, but that's terrible. And then, people are have what is that when they just fall asleep randomly?
I had a cat that had
narcolepsy.
Yeah.
And they just can't stay awake. But that can like also manifest in like it's not just like they instantly fall asleep. They'll sleep a lot more than different people. Than people usually will or whatever. And then you have insomniacs that just stay up all night. They don't really. There's some people that are like born with insomnia. Not born with it, but it's just something that they've struggled with since they were kids. And I've like had friends that like I've talked to about. And, like, realizing that when they were kids, they'd be awake and at night and they'd be scared and they didn't understand why they couldn't sleep. And that makes me very sad for them, But, those people, one of my friends, he'll stay up for a full 24 hours and then he'll sleep for about 4. And then that's how he functions. And he does that every day. And
when I worked third shift, like, I would get off at 6 in the morning. So, say I get off work at 6 in the morning and the next night is my night off.
Okay.
I will literally sleep, like, the night before I go to work, and then I get off at 6 and I stay up all the way until, like, 4 or 5 in the afternoon the next day I worked. So, I'd get off at 6 in the morning and I'd stay up past midnight, past noon, to 4 or 5, and then I'd go to sleep, and then I'd have to work at 11. Wow. Because then it was like I could go to the bank and do all that stuff that like closes at 5.
Yeah,
and,
true.
Get that out of the way.
Yeah, that's true. I think that the most important thing about good sleep is at least however it is that you decide to sleep, as long as it is consistent. And I think that is I think that's how you measure how healthy your sleep schedule is.
Or if it just works for you. I don't know. It's like...
But you still had it. I mean, like that, with that, like if it worked for you, it was still a pretty consistent schedule though.
I mean, not necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's like, what is a natural sleep cycle? I don't think anybody really knows because we have... so much like caffeine and different things that in our diet that actually affect our awakened sleep cycles. So it's like if you have less caffeine one day, you're gonna sleep more, or are you just gonna feel more tired?
That's true. I've been trying to take melatonin lately. I've been trying to go to bed a little bit earlier.
Melatonin can give you some wild dreams.
Can it?
It's what your body naturally produces, so when you basically put that into your body, you already have certain melatonin levels that are released, so then it just combines, and then I guess somewhere along the way
I don't take a lot because I'm scared of it a little bit.
Yeah, I don't like taking melatonin. I don't feel well rested.
Okay, once you wake up. Yeah, it doesn't stop me from waking up. It'll just help me go to bed earlier. And it won't stop people from waking up in the middle of the night. Which is why, like, my daughter, like, I'll try to give it to her, but she wakes up a lot in the middle of the night too. And she'll stay awake for a while and then eventually go back to bed, and that's her sleep schedule. That's how she sleeps. And, but melatonin isn't going to solve that. Now, you could take heavier medications, but I've heard that those are awful for you. Yeah. And then, like, if you don't, like, there's, like if you take Ambien, like, once you take it, there's, like, a certain time frame that you, like, need to go to sleep. And then, like, if you miss that window of time and you didn't fall asleep, then you're awake for the rest of the night, you're hallucinating and shit. At least it's happened to people. I mean, it's, and you're all fucked up on Ambien. And so, like, if you miss that window, it's sorry. You're fucked for the night. Enjoy your nightmares and your real life. So, but that's, it's something I've heard anyway. But,
I've heard great things about ZQL.
Really?
Yeah. It actually helps people, like,
fall asleep
stay asleep.
Really?
Yeah. But it's not, like, habit forming.
Okay. It's not that it was.
No, because it's not NyQuil.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's, like, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But I haven't researched the medications enough to really know all that about them. I've heard from other people about the Ambien thing and stuff like that, and I've just only ever heard bad things about it, and it's like, but then again, I guess it's like antidepressants too. People are like, oh, it'll make you kill yourself, and it's like, that's what I heard, but that's not necessarily the case all the time. So, but I don't know. What do you guys dream a lot? What do you dream about? Will you tell me about your dreams? I'd like to hear about them.
And I've got a book, so we can look into it.
We will look in the book. Maybe you have a reoccurring dream. People have those.
Yeah.
Maybe you've been curious about it. I mean, we aren't sleep experts or anything, but we'd be more than happy to look into it and, see what we see. But
it'll be a learning experience for everybody involved.
Right. We can learn a new skill, and you can learn what's wrong with yourself. So we'll teach you. But I don't know. I think I think we pretty much covered a good deal on the topic of sleep. So
we talked about a lot of things.
We did talk about a lot of things, which, like I said, I think we should, let us know what you guys think about a drug episode. We can talk about them. It's not necessarily weird, but I mean, I guess it can be. Not everybody. Like I learned that kind of in, like, the recent years of my life, that, like, not everybody has, like, done as much drugs as I have. And I didn't know that for a long time. and it dawned on me when I'd, like, talk to other people and be like, oh yeah, during my drug days, and people are like, what? What's that?
Like everybody doesn't have those?
And apparently everybody does not. So I mean,
right.
I guess it is kind of a weird thing. But I'd be more than happy to talk about it anytime. We could cover that, but next week, it's the big week. Make sure you guys get your questions in, because we're going to be answering them. I'm excited. Are you excited about it?
I am. It'll be fun.
I think
it'll be
fun.
We've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm sure we're going to learn something that we didn't
There's got to be
really
something.
know.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some stuff.
Or something that we did know and just kind of forgot about.
I don't think we've ever had to interview each other, even, like, in high school for, like, a project or anything. I don't think so, anyway. I don't think we ever even had a class together.
We didn't.
How did we meet? I don't even know.
Where the goths gathered.
Yeah, I just met in the goth circle. I don't know. I can't remember how I met most people. So, like I said, drugs. It happens. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up. But like I said, get your questions in, and we will do our best to answer them. But until then, we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.